You are looking live at Charlotte Motor Speedway in Charlotte, North Carolina, as we get set to go for another week of the iRacing Stock Car Association. Glad to be here along for the ride. Jacob Hitz, Nolan Rempel, Al Kozlowski, all here with you for the call for today's race from the Charlotte Roval. And we'll be stationed all around different parts of the racetrack. I'll be on the front stretch, taking the old NASCAR turn 3 all the way towards the now turn 1. Nolan will be covering the infield part of the course, and then I'll be covering old 1 and 2 and the backstretch chicane. And we'll start with Nolan here. As qualifying's going on right now, what do you expect to see? A lot of chaos early on, or do you think it's going to be calm through the first couple of turns?
Well, I definitely think that the first few laps are going to be very, very chaotic. Of course, the infield section is where the spins are going to be the most prominent. Probably not going to see the most amount of passing in this infield section. That's likely going to be right over in yours and Al's zones for the race today. Of course, the backstretch and front stretch chicanes, the two areas where you're coming off the fastest. Two very, very difficult parts of the track to get slowed down for. So I would not be surprised if we saw a majority of the spins coming through that infield section here early tonight.
And Al, you're over in chaotic position number 1, which is that backstretch chicane. We've seen a lot of accidents there, especially with the older version of the chicane. Now that they changed it up a bit, it's a little bit easier for these guys to get into, but it's not as easy as these guys want it to be.
Well, yeah, I'm glad I picked this corner because I got a perfect view of the tunnel underneath the track where the drivers come in and out of the track. And now I can kind of see, as I'm going to watch the frustrations of these drivers at this Roval as they leave the track. I imagine I'm going to see a couple semis pulling out of that infield tunnel and leaving this track because they're not going to be able to finish. This is a very loose track, and it's lefts and rights, and they're not accustomed to that. We've watched so many tracks where they just turn left Now we've got to turn right. We got to use our brake. We got to use our clutch. We got to use our brain, and we're going to see what happens.
That we will. So it is the Toyo Tires 125 here at the Roval. Round 4 on the season already. Somehow we've made it 4 races. I can't believe we've gotten that far into the season so far. 55 laps up on the board for today's race, making up roughly 125 miles or so. These guys get 3 sets of tires. They're able to change tires twice during the race. And guys, what do you think? Are is tire saving going to be a key part to this race, or maybe not so much?
It's really going to depend on how much sliding and wrecking you do. I mean, if you do a lot of spinning around and sliding and wear those tires down, you're definitely going to need them. But I don't think it's a fuel mileage race. I just think it's a manage to not hit the wall race.
Nolan, your thoughts here?
I mean, I'm kind of feeling the exact same way. I mean, it's going to really depend on how these drivers want to manage the track. Of course, the right side tires are certainly going to be taking a beating in NASCAR's 1 and 2, 3 and 4, much more so than the left side tires are, because the only left turning corners, well, they're significantly slower than these other ones. So I do think that it's going to be very interesting to see how the tires are going to play into the fact today, especially since there really is no easy way to divvy up 55 laps amongst 3 sets of tires.
It's going to be.
I think my main goal thing here to watch for is these turtles. And when I say those turtles, it's going to be those blue-looking speed bumps per se. That's going to play a toll on suspension. That could knock a toe out real fast and cause you an ill-handling car. I don't know if iRacing is set up to where it'll pop a tire or anything like that, bend a rim, but we're going to see some cars that are airborne tonight.
It'll all be fun to watch. You would think after last week at Talladega, we'd be done with cars flying up into the air. Not so much. They've got ramps to send themselves into the air here this week at the Charlotte Roval. Taking a look here right now at the board here in qualifying. 20 seconds left in qualifying, and Boyd Hogan, he has smoked the field. He did it in practice. He's done it again in qualifying. A minute 16.419. Second place, Clifton Cockrell with a minute 17.833. So almost a second and a half behind the pole lap right now. Hogan is fast here.
Yeah, if he gets a breakaway, what the issue is you're going to see here is there are only section cautions. There's not a whole race caution that flies. So what that means is if a driver gets into a spin and in a turn 2, 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, that intermediate general area is going to have a caution for all drivers in that area. It doesn't have the rest of the field slowing down. You know, we very rarely see a full race field caution. So if Boyd Hogan gets a good leap, I mean, it's going to be the Boyd Hogan show. Now, Clifton Cockrell is a great road courser. We watched him at several different road courses in the past and have seen him pull out a miracle. And I think right now, these folks might need a small miracle in order to catch Boyd Hogan and put him down.
Well, we'll just have to wait and see, as it is now time for the national anthem here before we get things going from the road.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does
And now, for the most famous words in motorsports.
Drivers, start your engine!
Welcome back here to the Roval. We're getting set to go, and guys, it's a small field. I don't blame them for not wanting to run the Roval, but the amount of cars here for today's race certainly is not as high as we have seen it at other races. That's for
Yeah, we're going to see a bunch of drivers that absolutely do not want to run tonight, but they have to because they're in the chase for the points. Let's just see how this thing pans out.
Tell you what, guys, let's take us through the grid here. Al, Nolan, whoever wants to start us off, go ahead.
We have on the pole would be Boyd Hogan. In second place would be Clifton Cockrell. Third, it's Tanner Love. Fourth, Tyler Pluff. Fifth, Mark Love. Sixth, Michael Knight. Seventh, Tyler Smith. Eighth, Craig Johnson. Ninth, James Carlabali. 10th, Jaden Profit.
And continuing to run down through the field, you got Brian Johnson down there in the 11th position. Chris Johnson over in 12th position. You got Kling and Wayne Grassi running up in the 13th and 14th positions. You got Brian Hubble in 14th, Michael Doyle 15th, Cecil Keith 16th, David Gervais 17th, Paul Olson in the 18th position. So it looks like it's going to be about 19 drivers getting set to go ready to race here at the Roval.
And we'll see how much of that actually we'll see how many cars actually finish this race on the lead lap. So we'll just have to wait and see as the field coming around through the racetrack. Let's see, coming through the infield part of the course right now in front of you, Nolan. One key thing here before we get the green flag. What's one thing you're looking for? I think we already talked about this, but one key thing that you're looking for as soon as those cars get to you through turn 2.
I'll definitely be looking for those small little spins because all it's going to take is one driver to get the back end sucked up by just a little bit for all heck to break loose. Should mention as well here, though, it looks like Eric Kling missed the call to the starting grid. So Eric Kling going to be having to start his race from the pit road. It's going to be a hard one for him.
And he was second fastest, I believe, second or third fastest in practice. So not a great start for him. Al, they're coming up onto the high banks right now. What's your one thing to watch?
My one thing is watch is that beautiful pace car. That's a Porsche, I believe. That's the first time we're seeing a foreign car lead our field. Usually it's a Toyota truck or a Chevy Camaro or a Ford Mustang. Am I seeing a Porsche?
Yep, you got it.
To be precise, it's the 911 GT3 Cup car. Certainly not the racing version of the car that you can also see on the same service, but it does look very beautiful out there.
And I'm believing I'm looking real close. I think that's one of our drivers, Kenny Powell's in that pace car right there. He's not making tonight's field. He's going to drive the pace car. I guess he's feeling that's the most safest place to be tonight.
Maybe that, or he knows that if he tears the pace car up, he's definitely in trouble compared to tearing up a race car. Figure he'll keep it clean for this week after some bad luck at Talladega.
Yeah, definitely that pace car will not be utilized that much tonight. As I said, we have local cautions, and that's not going to bring that pace car out. So we're not going to be seeing that Porsche much on the track here. The excitement's going to come as you focus on the very first turn, the very first left turn when we start this race. Keep a close eye on that, and let's see how many cars do not make that successfully.
Well, they got to get through the last chicane first. Through the final chicane here at the Roval. Pace cars on pit road. We're glad you're watching. Let's have some fun. Boyd Hogan leads us down to the start. Green flag in the air. We are underway at the Charlotte Roval. Everybody's able to make it to the start-finish line clearly. They head off into turn number 1. Here comes Cockrell. Trying to pass him. He gets by on the outside. One car sliding through the corner. They all make it through turn 2.
Looks to me like Mark Love might have had some difficulties. He's all the way back down just outside the top 5. So potential troubles for Mark Love right out of the starting gate. Cockrell leads the field now through that infield section of Boyd Hogan. Not the best start for him. He's going to have a little bit of work to do in order to get by. And we'll probably try to make that move into the bus stop chicane. But for now, well, so far, so good. Everybody is running single file at the moment.
As long as they keep that pace right there, we won't see many of these sectional cautions. And I'm watching as Clifton Cockrell has gained his lead up to a 6/10 as he comes back into the first chicane on the backstretch here. And let's see how they pull this off. If this is clean. It looks like it's pretty clean. Not much jumping off the turtles there. Boyd is closing up. And he has closed that gap up really close there to 3/10 coming off that last chicane. Everybody makes it past this. Last one pretty clean. There's no spinners, no wreckers. Oh, we've got one of them that missed a chicane. He kind of bunny hopped into it, and he's going to cause a little bit of a check up there.
We're back. The leaders are back at start finish heading for turn one. Everybody making it through this final chicane relatively smooth. It's still Cockrell and Hogan fighting for the lead. It looked like Hogan had a better run there through that last chicane, but right now, Cockrell pulling back away.
Cockrell pulling away indeed, and Renell looks to be in a pretty secure position for that lead. It looks like Hogan might have to worry a little bit more about Tanner Love in the third position. Tanner Love has closed the gap in as well. Oh, we got one car that almost got sideways behind him. That was James Colabelli, and he's actually pulling off the track, so Colabelli pulling away to the inside, letting the field through. Also up and almost into the grass is Jaden Profit through the middle section of the corner. Overshot the entry, went in with a bit too much speed. He nearly had a big moment as well.
Here they come back to this last chicane in this backstretch here. And again, we have a 3-car breakaway. It looks like the top 3 have just kind of left. These guys are making it safe. We got one of them with slides, and he's in the wall, and he makes it through safely. Let's see if everybody else can do that as they all come through and make it pretty clean. First 5 laps should be pretty good, guys. After that, these tires are going to get wore out, and we're going to see some real bumping and grooving here.
Yeah, everybody's pretty spread out as the leaders are back in through turn 2. Everybody on the front stretch, on the chicane here on the front stretch, they've been able to make it through. One car locks it up way in the back. I believe that's Cecil Keith. He's able to keep it going along with everybody else. Back to Nolan in the infield.
So far, oh, look out, Mike Knight takes a big slide through turn number 3, steps that back end out, does a little bit of a drifting car trying to get his drift license. That's going to cost him a couple seconds in a slowdown penalty as he did cut turn number 4. So not good news for Mike Knight as the leader's already through turn number 2. For now, though, everything is still looking mighty fine. One car has spotted Wayne Crossley. That is just taking another spin, also in turn 3, stepping that back end out. It's one of the easiest places to get loose here.
While the leader is getting pretty squirrely as I'm watching him come through this back chicane yeah, and they're all making it fairly, well, that was really close to the wall. 4th place there got really close to the wall.
Take a look here, back through the lead. Boyd Hogan just gets such a run through that backstretch chicane. He gets right on the back bumper of Cockrell. Then they go back into turn number 1 into the infield part of the course, and Cockrell is just able to open that gap up just a little bit, but Hogan able to stay close for now as the leaders are in the infield part of the course. Everybody making it through. One car locks it up in the final chicane and goes off for a moment. Let's figure out which person it was. 65, Jaden Profit. He locked the tires up. He's back rolling. Back to the infield we go.
And it looks like we might have a battle for the lead here really soon as Clifton Cockrell is really struggling. Oh, Tanner Love has just gone off over, and I believe that's turn number 7. Carried too much speed. Car started to snap around him, overcorrected. That's an off into the grass. Still, though, didn't get into the grass, didn't get into the wall, so no harm, no foul for Tanner Love. Oh, hang on, we've actually got another car that's actually into the wall this time. James Colabelli has just had another spin in the 17 machine. It was again another turn 3, got loose, got on the curbs. It just barely kept it off of the wall as well.
As we watch the battle in the backstretch here, or what is typically the backstretch, it'd be the chicane on the backstretch. We're watching the leaders, and they're battling pretty close. And Boyd is keeping Clifton Cockrell. He is keeping him pretty close and waiting for Clifton to make a mistake so he can capitalize on that.
They're flying through that front stretch chicane, though. Nobody making any mistakes in this top 2. They are pulling away from everybody else. They've been the class of the field. Oh, no! Cockrell gets sideways. I think he kept it off the wall. Take a look. He did, barely. He's able to hang on to the lead, and Hogan actually loses some time, probably trying to catch his breath. and not crap himself trying to avoid Cockrell. Everybody else making it through. Back to the infield we go.
Very close call there for Clifton Cockrell. Very impressed that he managed to save that car and managed to keep it out of everything else. Another battle that's currently going on right now is actually for 8th place as well, as Brian Hubble is trying to reel in Craig Johnson as well.
Just an update here, Al. We do have one car on pit road. It is Kalabali. After taking that spin, it looks like he's just going to park it. Kalabali's just going to park it. He's going to head home. So 17, James Kalabali, he's had enough. He'll park it after just 3 laps.
And we're back here. I'll watch him come out of that exit tunnel back here in the back chicane and see his rig hauler leave the track. But I told you we're going to see a lot of that. We'll probably see about half this field calling it a night tonight here, because this is a very demanding track. I mean, it takes a lot more patience and skill than just turning left here. This is a left and right and brake, and it's very demanding.
Well, I spoke too soon. He blinked out for a bit. Now he's back. He's back on the racetrack in the infield part of the course, so he hasn't packed it up yet. Meanwhile, Cockrell's still out ahead. Leaders in turn 3.
Clifton Cockrell still trying to hang on against Boyd Hogan. He's doing a very admirable job here as he's led the first 5 laps now. Hogan might be trying to find the inside here. Could we see a pass in this infield section? Doesn't look like Hogan will be able to get quite close enough. Really applying the pressure on Clifton Cockrell, though, really trying to keep him honest. Cockrell stepping the back end out, just the smallest of margins. That is all it takes, though. They are already getting really close again. Boyd Hogan, he's going to have a run here coming onto the oval.
Guys, you're talking from the leaders all the way back to the back of this field. There is a 50-second gap. This track you can get around in a minute.
Here we go, Al.
18 seconds. It looks like the leaders, they're battling here. They're battling. And Boyd takes the lead, and he gets it from Clifton. Boyd Hogan in the 81 is now our new leader again.
He played it perfect going into that backstretch chicane, outbraked him just a bit, and now he's able to immediately pull away. That's his best part of the course, and boy, he showed it right there. Here he comes now through this front stretch chicane, able to pull away just a little bit. He's got the lap car of Kalabali, which he'll get to in a moment. The top 3, top 5, all making it through. You've got a pass for 7th going on between Mark Love and Brian Johnson. Check that. It's Mike Knight and Mark Love. Mike Knight able to make the passes. Everybody else pretty single file as well. Mike Knight gets sideways in this front stretch chicane, goes a little wide, and they're going to be side by side almost. Love's going to back out of it. Knight will hang on to the 6th spot. Back to the infield we go.
So the battle's off for the 6th place. It would seem Mike Knight just managed to get that pass done around Mark Love, almost losing it in the midst of that front stretch chicane as well. Luckily, they did manage to keep the car straight.
Tell you what, Tanner Love just almost spun it again. Same spot, turn 7. He got really out of shape.
And Tanner Love certainly struggling a good bit, it would seem here as well.
That was the Tokyo drift.
Yeah, but if you look at the last lap that Tanner Love ran compared to the leaders, Tanner Love's last lap was 1 minute and 19 seconds, okay? Boyd Hogan, the leader, ran 1 minute and 20 seconds. So he's roughly about 0.3 of a second faster on the last lap. So he may be pressing his luck here and not being patient, but he's trying to get to them, and he's got an 8-second gap between himself and the leader. So 1st through 3rd is an 8-second gap, and we have a car that's looks like he's having a little problems on this backstretch getting around.
Well, I tell you what, Tanner might be working his wheels off, but that's exactly what he's doing. He's working the wheels off. One car just cut the chicane right in front of me here. Tyler Smith, he's going to have to give up time, and that's going to let Tyler Pluff take the 4th position. Everybody else able to make it through. Never mind. There goes Mark Love. He's going to miss the front stretch chicane. So already, tires seeming to be really worn on these guys. We're only 6 laps into the books. They're already missing this front stretch chicane here. I've just seen a couple of them do it, and I'm sure that won't be the last time it happens. Back to the infield.
We've just had a spin just a few seconds ago. While all that was going on, Paul Olson took a bit of a slide over in turn number 7, doinked it into the wall, and eventually pulled the car off. He has towed the car. He is going to be done for the night as well. So Paul Olson, one of the first retirements of the night. James Caldwell is also in the pit lane. Jaden Profit, though, running down Craig Johnson right on the back end, though, into turn number 7. Profit trying to make a move. Johnson's going to slide real wide. He's going to have to give up the spot. He's going to also lose out to a left as well as Hubble goes through. So does Chris Johnson. So all of a sudden, Craig Johnson losing 3 spots in the span of 1 corner. Disastrous lap for the 83.
And even more disastrous lap for Mark Love there, Nolan. He got into the wall going into turn number 2, got sideways, augured into the pit wall, went back up into the outside wall. He's on pit road. Oh, he did spin. Cockrell back to the lead. Right here in the final chicane. He did the Jimmy Johnson, got loose coming off of NASCAR turn 4, got on the brake, spun the car out. If there was somebody there, he would have hit him, knocked the turtle. Cockrell goes by, takes the lead, and he's got a 5-second lead over Boyd Hogan, and Tanner Love's within a second of him and closed on that gap.
Now, that's something you're going to see some of these drivers are doing. They might eat up their tires a little bit trying to gain a different position. But I would not count Boyd Hogan out. I mean, that's a 5-second gap between him and Clifton. But as Clifton comes, he should be starting to come up on lap traffic here pretty close. He's already, Mark Love and James Cullibally are already a lap down, as well as Paul Olson is 2 laps down. But Wayne Grossi is coming up on about 8 seconds from being a lap down as well. So as Clifton Cockrell gets these lap cars, he's going to have some contenders because these lap cars don't want to go a lap down, and they can cause a big problem.
It has been a wild start to the afternoon. There's no doubt about it. Mark Love, I think, is just going to park it for the night. So he was running inside the top 5. He had that accident going into turn 2, and now it looks like trouble. We've got trouble. 13 Tanner Love around in the front stretch chicane. He's able to save it. He might have to stop, though, because he did miss part of the chicane, just got on the brakes, similar to what happened to Hogan, just lost the car and had to spin it. He was able to hang on to it, but a big slide for Tanner Love. He's still in the 3rd spot, and he's got a little bit of a cushion until Tyler Pluff can get to his back bumper. But this front stretch chicane has been brutal so far here, guys.
And speaking of Tyler Pluff, he's currently in the midst of his own battle with Tyler Smith, as a matter of fact, in the 22 machine. This is the battle for the 4th position, just going through the infield section right now. So it's the 21 versus the 22. The 2 Tylers going up against each other, Smith versus Pluff. The 21 car still trying to hang on to that 4th position.
These guys on this backstretch, you watch them as they hit these blue. Every one of these drivers are hitting that blue turtle on his back in the first right turn, and they're trying to, and it's getting the car unstable. So they're getting extremely close to that wall, and that's going to cause a problem. I can wait till somebody hits that wall, but it hasn't happened yet. But as these tires wear out, what is our pit strategy here, guys? Anybody have any idea what we're thinking is going to happen?
That's a good question. I wish I had the answer for you, Al. Cockrell's back at the line. They're thinking just 1 pit stop, which would make sense since they only have 2 sets of tires left in the pits. But we'll kind of have to wait and see right now. We'll focus in on the battle for 4th because it's still heating up between Tyler Pluff and Tyler Smith. Catch 21, catch 22. Well, it's whoever catches the other right now and makes the pass. They're headed into the infield section right now.
Both drivers getting extremely unsettled on the exit of turn 1 down through turn number 2. Both cars step at the back end out. Smith bobbles just a little bit, and in his run to try to get up to Pluff, that's going to cause him to miss the apex of turn number 4 as well. So that's going to give Tyler Pluff a little bit of breathing room. Now, this section right here, from turn 5 all the way out to when they get back onto the oval, this is where Smith really closes in the gap. Pluff cannot get the car settled, over-rotates it a little bit, and it cuts him off for turn number 7. Tyler Smith still trying to reel him in as they're back onto the oval.
Let's go on an in-car drive right quick with let's pick somebody who's having a little bit of struggles here, and let's see how they drive this thing, and let's see what they see as they drive. Let's try to go into, let's pick a car here. Let's go in-car camera with, well, I'm watching the battle on the backstretch because I want to make it like you're following somebody. I don't really want to just pick somebody here. Let's go in-car camera with the 13. The 13 will be Brian Hubble. Let's go in-car camera with Brian Hubble. And let's have him take us a lap around this because he's got 2 cars in front of him. And let's just watch how he drives this. See, he hits the turtles there, and that's going to cause you unstable to go into the wall, come across the start-finish line. And you really got to slow that thing down in order to make that first left right there, and he just manhandles that wheel. And these corners right here is where you're going to see most of the cars losing control. As you can see, he's struggling to turn right. Gets into third gear, back down into second, and he kind of squirrels it a little bit coming to this next turn, and a lot of drivers are losing the turn right here.
Oh,
yeah, I thought that was a wall activity. We're
Well, I
going to
tell
see
you what,
somebody.
we got a battle right in front of you, Al, right now between Tyler and Tyler. Tyler Smith just passed Tyler Pluff going into the backstretch chicane. He's able to take that fourth spot away, so Tyler Smith up into position number 4, able to pass Pluff. And Hogan is under a second from Cockrell as they head through turn 2.
so
All right. That's a good battle. I mean, let's take a ride with Boyd Hogan and see how comfortable he is behind the wheel. Let's go on in-car camera with the car number 81, Boyd Hogan. It does look like he's closed that up, and the leader is right in front of him at a half a second. So he went from 4 seconds down between first and second to where he is closing in on Clifton Cockrell in that 16 machine, and he may pass him here.
And they've got a lap car in the way with Kolobali as well. He's only 1 lap down.
Boyd's going to the inside here as we're watching this, and he's getting to the inside, and he clearly gets him because he's going to get him on this back chicane. And this is where I've been watching all night, and let's see how clean he does this. He hits a blue there a little bit, doesn't hit it there. He comes out of that really clean into this left-hand turn and avoids hitting the wall. And he takes the lead again.
But Cockrell is still pretty close. All he needs is one mistake from Hogan, and he's going to be right to the back bumper. They've got a lot of lap traffic in front of him. Kolobali right in the way. That's going to slow up Hogan a little bit, allow Cockrell to try and adjust his line and close in the gap. They head back for turn number 1. Kolobali still in the way as they head to the infield. That's not where Hogan wants him to be.
No, he's not going to easily give it to him, bud.
And Kolobali is certainly not doing them any favors right now as they're through turn number 2. Clifton Cockrell now trying to find his way through. So James Kolobali is certainly not doing your leading battle any favors. But that little holdup through turn number 3 has just allowed Boyd Hogan to get himself further out in front. And I do believe he will have kept it as of right now. The battle's still on for the 4th position, though, as Tyler Pluff is trying to have another go. And Tyler Smith trying to dime it off the corner. He's still very, very close to the back end of that Chevrolet Camaro. And so far, Tyler Pluff still not able to reel in Tyler Smith. Still ducking and darting their way through the infield section. Now the question is going to be, can Pluff get the run onto the oval?
David Gervais just clipped the 7 car of Wayne Grassi and almost spun both those guys out in the backstretch here.
And that was right in front of the leaders too, Al, because Gervais it just went a lap down, and Grassi is about to go a lap down as Hogan's going to almost move him out of the way. That was Cockrell rather that almost moved him out of the way. Lap car right in front of him catches the curb and gets sideways. It is pandemonium up front here for the leaders. As 4th, the battle for 4th still going on. They're trying to avoid some lap traffic. They're coming through NASCAR turn 4 and now headed for the chicane. Pluff trying to get back by Smith. It won't happen here at this chicane as they come back to the start-finish line and head back towards turn number 1. Hogan's extended the gap to 2 seconds between himself and second place of Cockrell. And you've got to go a long way back to 3rd place, almost 6 seconds from the leader.
4th place is Tyler Smith. He is 18 seconds behind the leader.
And Smith still trying to hang on here as Tyler Pluff really trying to hound those mirrors. I'm noticing that Pluff is able to get him a lot on the entry, but Smith is just able to keep that car a little bit more steady on the secondary, or on that 5th position back there. So Pluff is really able to get him on the entry, but Smith certainly has him on the exit of the corner. So we're going to see here as they blast once more down the backstretch.
Looks like a close battle for 8th and 9th. That's between the 68 of Michael Knight and the 48 of Chris Johnson. It looks like Chris slowed up just a little bit, and Mike kind of put almost a 1.5 second gap between him. and Chris Johnson. And Boyd Hogan in the 81 machine has just pulled out a 3.2 second gap between him and second place Clifton Cockrell.
Yeah, to say he's fast on a long run is an understatement because remember, he fell back, he caught Cockrell, he made a mistake, he fell back by 5 seconds. 3 laps later or so, he was back within Cockrell's striking distance and was able to pass him for the position, and right now he's put it on cruise control and is just flying compared to everybody else.
Yeah, well, his last lap, he turned a 1 minute 21 seconds. Clifton Cockrell and Tanner Love both turned a 1 minute 22 for Clifton Cockrell and a 1 minute 23 for Tanner Love. So they're anywhere between 1 and 2 seconds slower at this point from the leader, Boyd Hogan.
Got another battle heating up in this infield as well, as there goes Brian Johnson actually pulling off and letting Jaden Profit through. So a trade in hands for the 6th position. Profit was just given a nice little present there by Brian Johnson, as Johnson just pulled aside, put on the brakes, and well, just let that number 65 machine cruise on by.
Well, Johnson's been struggling here, Nolan, because his last lap was a minute 26. Profits was a minute 23. That's about the average to where the field is right now. Johnson off the pace. He must have really burned his stuff off in the first 15 laps or so because he is really struggling in that 4 car right now.
Well, guys, I just seen the hollers of Mark Love and Paul Olson nose to tail on the tunnel leaving the track.
And they've had enough. They have
packed
gone
it up.
home.
They're heading probably on their way to Kansas.
That's where we'll be next week. Should be a fun time. 1 car off in the front stretch chicane. It's Jaden Profit. We just talked about him making a pass on Brian Johnson, and now he's going to give the spot right back going into turn 1 because he cut the corner. So move Johnson back to the 6th spot after Profit misses the front stretch chicane. That's the 2nd time that he's done so far.
Brian Johnson, now it's going to be all up to him in this infield section to see if he can hang on to that spot. Will he pull aside and let him through again? Jaden Profit he's gotten his penalty dealt with, so he's now clear to try to run down Brian Johnson. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to really get the spot done at the infield chicane. In fact, Profit is still dropping back some, so you got to wonder if maybe that penalty has not quite gone away yet. Sometimes it can take a long time to sort out those slowdown penalties. I think Profit might be struggling to get that one dealt with right now.
Oh, I just watched one driver cut right through the chicane in the back. He decided, I'm not going to turn right and left. I'm just going to go straight.
Not sure who that could have been. Just an update for that battle for 4th. That's extended a little bit between Pluff and Smith. And never mind. A big pass. Pass and Pluff just cut the front stretch chicane. Blows by Tyler Smith. He's going to have to give up a lot of time. He just outright cut that front stretch chicane. And here comes Smith back to the bottom as they head to the infield part of the course as Pluff has to give up time. Looks like he might be good now as they head to turn 3.
I mean, I guess that's one way to get a pass done, though I guess iRacing would say that's not the right way to get it done. But forced to give up the spot once more, and now the battle could be on once again between the Tylers, and I guess this shows that this battle, it is far from over.
Yeah, we should start seeing some pit action starting here in probably another 2 or 3 laps, as we have the leader, Boyd Hogan, has put a 6.5 second gap between him and second place Clifton Cockrell. In 3rd place, Tanner Love in the 14 machine is 9.8 seconds behind the leader.
And that gap just continues to grow. Now it's up over 10 seconds. As Boyd Hogan, he's putting on a clinic so far here at the Charlotte Roval. Like Al mentioned, we'll be at Kansas next week. We'll be back to turning left only, unless the car gets loose or something like that. Then you might have to turn right. But we're back to normality of some sorts. Of course, I have no idea what the rest of the schedule looks like after Kansas. I think it's Texas and then Martinsville, and then we go to Phoenix. After that, I'm not quite sure. We've got a bunch of guys going off right in front of Tyler Smith, and Smith has damage. He runs right into the back of James Colabali. Lap cars in the way. Both of them missed the chicane pretty badly. The 5 of David Gervais, the 17 of James Colabali, and the 22 of Tyler Smith, who's trying to hang on to that 4th spot, ran right into the back of Colabali in the front straightaway, and here comes Spluff through turn 3.
Yeah, it doesn't take much for these guys that are sitting back, because right now we only have about 11 cars on the lead lap, and the last one is the 83 of Craig Johnson. Now, if Craig plays it smart, he is about a second behind the leader, but there's only roughly about 30 seconds between him and third and fourth place. So if he can just watch these guys wreck in front of him, and there's a pileup of about 7 cars, he can end up going from 11th all the way up into 5th. And not really have to pass anybody, but avoid a wreck.
And even though Smith got into the back of Colabali, he's been able to pull away by almost a second from Pluff. He's left him in the background as he had a tough time getting by David Gervais. So right now, Tyler Smith has a little bit of breathing room, just about 2 seconds between him and Pluff for the 4th position. Everything looking good right now, and I think the closest battle on the racetrack for 6th between Brian Johnson, Jaden Profit. They're coming through NASCAR 3 and 4 right now as Gervais smokes the tires up again, going through the front stretch chicane, able to sort it out as everything is just peachy right now here at the Roval. And not a lot of battling and not a lot of wrecking either.
Tyler Smith right now down through turn number 3, and one of the reasons as well why Pluff is so far back is because he bobbled big time through turn number 3, and that lost him a lot of time as well. That in fact allowed him to not have the room to overtake David Gervais down the straight when he pulled aside and let Tyler Smith through. So that explains why Smith has gotten so far in front. But already look at this. Oh, Pluff! Real sideways through turn number 6, just barely manages to hang on to it.
Yeah, I can't imagine these cars are handling that well right now, as they have 20 laps on these tires of lefts and rights and brakes and sliding. I mean, this is almost like driving on Jello tires. I mean, they're going to have to pit here in a matter, like I said, about maybe 2 more laps, so we should start seeing these guys down pit road. It's not necessarily a fuel run for them, but these tires have to be worn down.
Battle for 4th through turns 3 and 4. Tyler Smith, Tyler Pluff, they have caught each other once again, and they're going to keep putting on a show for us right now because everybody in the top 3 is strung out. Here they come through the front stretch chicane. Pluff trying to apply the pressure. Smith perfect so far. They head to the start-finish line. Now they head back to turn number 1. Pluff stays in line, can't make a move on Smith. We'll see what they can do headed for turn 2 and to Nolan.
If I was Tyler Pluff right now, I'd be making that move as soon as I can. At this point, he could probably even try to go for the bump and run. Not something you typically see on a road course, but certainly doable at a track like this. Actually easing off, though, through turn number 3, and that gives Tyler Smith a little bit more breathing room as Tyler Pluff now gets to run it down.
I think, is it Nolan having the technical issues, or is it me?
I am hearing Nolan perfectly fine, so you may be having some technical issues.
Okay, it's me. I'll stay quiet for now. You guys take control.
Need to watch those pits. I think we're going to start seeing a pit cycle come up anytime now as we're watching the leader. Boyd Hogan has a 10.5 second clearly comfortable lead in front of second place Clifton Cockrell. So he could actually pit right now. And quite frankly, he could probably make it to the very end of this race. And I'm watching some of these drivers in the back. David Gervais, he's kind of taking it easy, and he is a lap down, so he's not trying to wear his equipment out at all. He's really taking it easy around these chicanes. And we have the 13 car gets really loose in this back chicane, and he is sideways. He's trying to get this thing back under control, and that's Brian Hubble. As he caused a big ruckus with the 83 machine, barely misses him. And this happens all in front of your leader, Boyd Hogan.
It's not a fun time for him right now. Sorry about that. Had a little technical snafu there. I love Discord so much. But we're back ready and rolling. Hubble is coming on to pit road right now. Here they come through the front stretch chicane. Hogan is going to get by Craig Johnson. He'll survive another day. And it is a big gap between Cockrell and Love, or between Cockrell and Hogan. However, Tanner Love is starting to close in Cockrell. The gap is about 1.5 seconds. As a lap car, that's Michael Toyo. He's just going to cut the front stretch chicane and say hell with it. He's able to keep it going, but he'll have to give up some time. Battle for 4th, which is eons back from everybody else. They're 41 seconds behind the leader. It's still heating up, though, between Smith and Pluff. They come through the backstretch chicane. headed through NASCAR 3 and 4. Smith starting to pull out just a little bit here as they head down into the front stretch chicane once again. So far, so good. And it looks like Tyler Smith might hang on to this position until we start to see some green flag stops. We'll just have to wait and see. We'll send it to Nolan in turn 2.
So Tyler Pluff still trying to run down Tyler Smith, and what in the world will he be able to do? Smith does have that damage, and it is certainly hindering him. Tyler Pluff now all over that back bumper of Tyler Smith, trying to find a way through. Can he get it here in the run down to turn number 5? Not sure if he's going to be close enough to do it. No, he's not. But right now, Pluff is certainly applying the pressure right now. I have a feeling it's only a matter of time before we see him move for the spot.
Guys, with the way we're running right now, if Boyd Hogan stays at the pace he's at, we will see a race with only 3 drivers left on the lead lap, because he is closing up. He's already put down 10 cars a lap or more down. Chris Johnson is his next target in that 48 machine, and he is literally only about 8 seconds from going a lap down.
He's also running laps faster than what he was setting when he was running in second spot. When he was running second, he was setting about 1:21 laps. Now he's setting 1:20. He's over 2.5 seconds faster than second place right now. Cecil Keith just missed the front stretch chicane. He gets it corrected and gets it rolling once again. And let's talk about this battle for second between Clifton Cockrell and Tanner Love, because it is closing quickly.
We have 2 drivers, Brian Hubble in a 13 machine and James Cullibally in a 17 machine. They've already pitted. Now, Brian Hubble is only got 1 lap tires on right now. Everybody else is sitting at 23, 24 laps. And James Cullibally pitted about 14 laps ago, and he is now 2 laps down. So those guys have already gotten their pit stops out of the way. Now, that could benefit them in the event there's a huge wreck, because they've got fresher tires and they don't have to pit for them.
To wait and see. We'll keep an eye on this battle for second here. Pretty much the closest battle on the racetrack between Cockrell and Love. We've seen these guys have a couple of issues. Love specifically, he's gone for a slide a time or 2. Cockrell's been able to keep the car pointed in the right direction so far. They come through the front stretch chicane. Everything looks well between those 2 cars. They head down through turn 1, but now we're going to look for the battle here on the backstretch chicane between Smith and Pluff. They come through. Smith right on the gas, Pluff right on the doorstep of 4th spot. As they come through 3 and 4, Smith able to pull the gap out a little bit through the corner and head towards this front stretch chicane. It won't be long until we see a pass somewhere, whether it's for second or for 4th. 2 battles heating up at the front of the field.
So the battle for the second place just now, coming back onto the oval as Cockrell still trying to hang on to Tanner Love. Meanwhile, the battle for 4th place is in the midst of the infield section just now, and so far it's 2 drivers that are being certainly kept honest. Pluff slides wide in the battle for P number 4. Meanwhile, though, I say we take it on up to Al for that P2 battle right now into the backstretch chicane.
I'm watching them as they come through here, and it does look like Clifton Cockrell has got a little bit of more of an advantage coming in these turns. However, it's not going to last long, because it looks like Tanner Love is a little bit faster. On his last lap, he ran 1:22:038, and Clifton Cockrell ran 1:22:518. That's 5/10 slower than 3rd place. It's a matter of time, and Tanner's just waiting his turn.
I think Tanner's better on the infield part of the course, and on that front stretch chicane, we saw him lock the tires up a couple of times. He's not driving like it. He's about a car length back on Clifton Cockrell as they head to turn 3.
So the
Well, we're more than halfway down. Why don't we go ahead and break for a commercial, guys?
Good to me. We'll take a break. We're back in a moment. We're back here at the Roval. Pluff was able to get by Tyler Smith. That's for fourth. We're focused on the battle for second between Cockrell and Tanner Love. This is for second. They come to the start-finish line. They head for turn one. These guys have been slipping and sliding these last couple of laps. Tanner Love still applying the pressure to turn two and Nolan.
Tanner Love, what can he make on Clifton and Cockrell? Cockrell certainly trying to do whatever he can to find his way to hang on to that position. Love trying to find every possible way to get his way through. Almost gets to the back end and almost gives him a shot on the back stretch. Whoa, Tanner Love nearly loses the back end. Pushed a little bit too hard on the exit that time by. That has just cut Clifton Cockrell a massive, massive break. That's going to be at least another 2 or 3 laps or so that Cockrell can have a little bit of breathing.
Oh, we've got a spinner on the back stretch here.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he turned it back
Chris
around.
Johnson.
That was right in front of our leader.
That's Chris Johnson, the 48 car. He goes around on the backstretch chicane, looking at the replay. He just got on the brakes a little too much. Car might have wheel hopped, spun it. He almost parked it right on top of the turtles. He was able to get it going, though, and thankfully nobody clobbered him. And Tyler Smith, the car in 5th spot, he is now on pit road. So already the pit strategy beginning. One of the faster cars on the field that was putting on a great show. He makes pit road. He's now rolling. And here's the battle for the second. Once again, Love, he's caught back up to Cockrell. That mistake took him back a little bit, but it didn't take long for him to catch back up to the back bumper of that 16 car. They're just rolling around right now trying to make it far enough where they only have to pit one more time. Back to turn 2. Cockrell able to stay in front for now.
Now, that's the big question here is for now, and I think the real question is going to be now who was going to come down first, because I think Tanner Love, you might have to start thinking about an undercut if you can't get by.
Boyd Hogan, your leader, is to be pitting right now.
No, Hogan's not pitting. I don't know what he did.
He went off the track.
Yeah, he went on
it
and
completely down. Yeah.
Spun it in
was-
turn 6.
He better get some tires on that.
We'll see what he can do. We're following. So many things happening right here, and that's going to allow Cockrell to close in by almost double the gap that it was. It was over 14 seconds, now under 8. Here's the battle for second. Cockrell on the high side, Love on the inside. We'll keep an eye on the leader as he comes through turns 3 and 4. Looks like he is going to keep his foot in the gas. He's going to stay out for another lap. Never mind, he's coming in.
Yeah, we should see Clifton Cockrell and Tanner Love, second and third,
Cockrell's
pitting right
in.
now.
And Love is in as well. So the top 3 all coming onto pit road. Now we're going to wait an eternity for Tyler Pluff. How far back is he? He just got onto turn 1 and 2. NASCAR turn 1 and 2. He is 45 seconds behind the leaders. So by the time Hogan gets off pit road, Pluff might get to the start-finish line as long as he doesn't pit or make a catastrophic mistake. He's on the backstretch chicane right now in front of Al. He's able to keep it going. We'll have to see what he does. We saw his battling partner, Tyler Smith. He already came onto pit road, and if he's able to get some fast laps in, he might do the undercut and take the lead. Pluff comes through 3 and 4, and he's coming onto pit road. So the top 4 now, all onto pit road. Boyd Hogan is gone. He's on the racetrack. He's ready to roll, and there's almost contact at the exit of pit road. It looks like Tanner Love is able to get by Clifton Cockrell on exit.
Tanner Love's leapfrogs Clifton Cockrell on the exit, had a little bit of a quicker pit stop. They were both into the pits at the same time, but Cockrell gave up so much time on the entry. It was too conservative entering his pit box. And unfortunately for him, Tanner Love was also a lot more aggressive on the way out of the pits. So I think Tanner Love right now could be set to just run away with the position for second place.
Hogan will rejoin the field as the leader. Tyler Smith is going to go back into the 4th position. He was able to get by Tyler Pluff, and Pluff just got off of pit road right now. It's going to be a bit till he's up to speed, so he's going to be pretty far back behind Smith. So the undercut did work for Tyler Smith. Brian Johnson is getting off pit road right now. Jaden Profit, he's rolling off pit road. Mike Knight, he's back on the racetrack. He pitted a lap ago. Chris Johnson's on pit road right now, as well as Michael Doyle. He's been on pit road for 3 minutes, though. It's going to be a bit. Meanwhile, your leader, Boyd Hogan, he's at the start-finish line and is able to keep it going. But Tanner Love is now in second. And I tell you what, this really split everybody apart. Closest battle, 7th place between Mike Knight and Jaden Profit. They're on the infield part of the course. Oh, Mike Knight spinning, he saved it. Turn 6.
certainly still trying to hang on to it from Mike Knight. He had a big slide, and I think that just might be the drift of the night. Stepping the car out. I don't even think he barely even locked the brakes up, just kind of fed to the throttle to keep that car steady the entire way through. That's allowed Jaden Profit to close in the gap.
And we cannot give much credit more than to these drivers tonight, because this is an extremely difficult and demanding track. We're watching these drivers who were brave enough to come in here tonight, turning laps that a lot of drivers in this field wouldn't even dare to do. So we have to give a lot of credit to every one of these drivers, as the talent in this field tonight is extraordinary.
Kind of rolling around right now, although Clifton Cockrell is able to reel in Tanner Love a little bit. They're coming through NASCAR 3 and 4 right now. Cockrell has the gap just over half a second as Hogan's back to 1. He's got a 10-second lead on Love, but Clifton Cockrell still lurking in the background, just waiting for a mistake.
Right now, that battle for second place is the only real battle we have on the circuit. There is one that might be picking up here momentarily for 7th and 8th place if Profit can reel in Mike Knight as well, because he's still kind of just barely lingered in the back. I'm pretty sure Jaden Profit came down just a lap or two ago as well, so he might be trying to see if he can reel in the gap. Oh, and we've had Boyd Hogan has just lost the rear end again in turn number 6.
Same spot. He did it before he pitted. Now he just did it again. This time, last time it was an overcorrect. This time he just got loose.
So,
and he had a 10-second lead. It's now down to 3.5 and closing.
So let me kind of put some context in there. That concrete that he drove over, it is painted concrete, and it's got a lot less grip than the main part of the track. Not to mention there's a tiny transition there, and as we're seeing, it does not take much for that transition to really unsettle the car. So that's what Boyd Hogan has been struggling with for the past couple laps, though, and it's caught him out twice now.
Twice in the span of about 5 laps or so. So he's really got to be careful. He can't afford to overdrive the car too much with now just 24 laps to go here at the line. The gap now between first and second, 3.5 seconds. It was almost 12 before Hogan made the mistake. If he does that again, it's going to cost him the lead.
Yeah, he can go from 1st to 5th rather fast by just a simple slip. Now, 1st to 4th is about 47 seconds. So Boyd Hogan really has to mess up in order to lose 3rd position at the worst at this point.
He'd have to get wedged in a tire barrier if he loses anything worse than 3rd spot. That or wind up on his roof.
Right now, we've only got 8 drivers on the lead lap now, where the last lead driver would be the 65 of Jaden Profit.
It won't be long until Hogan gets there. Profit just got out of the backstretch chicane. Hogan just got into it. So it's only a matter of time before Hogan will get to that lap. We'll get to the back of Profit's car. One note, Tanner Love has actually been able to close that gap this lap. It went from 3.5 seconds now to just about 3 seconds. So whatever Hogan did that last time, clearly it's affected the race car because he has lost a little bit of time.
Yeah, we'll watch Boyd Hogan and his teammate Tanner Love in 2nd place as they try to race each other. But I guarantee you, if Tanner Love gets to the bumper of Boyd Hogan, he will be really clean with his pass.
I'm trying to just keep an eye on things as well here as we just saw Boyd Hogan pass by James Colabelli in this infield section. And don't discount Clifton Cockrell, who might still be trying to see if he can maybe pick up one more spot or two before this race is out. Cockrell right now approaching Brian Hubble as well in the number 13 mission to try to get by him. So your leader is certainly dealing with a lot of lap traffic right now. I should note as well, it looks like the battle for 4th place might be closing up again as Tyler Smith and Tyler Pluff, they appear to be going at it right now as well.
I was going to bring that up there, Nolan. Tyler Smith pitted a few laps earlier than everybody else, and right now that appears to be showing. His tires 2 laps older than Pluff's. Pluff has been able to reel him in, and now right here heading into turn 3, Pluff is right on the back door.
Guys, I've just seen the 16 machine at the hauler left with Michael Doyle's car inside of it, so he must have called it a night tonight.
So that's one more driver then that's out of the running for today. Smith still trying to hang on as Tyler Pluff struggling, still trying to find just any way he can to get by him as they come back onto the oval.
David Gervais is on pit road. Not sure why. Car looks pretty clean, but Gervais will take a trip onto pit road anyway. He's got extra tires, so he figures why not just use them. With this battle for 4th and 5th between Tyler Smith and Tyler Pluff, it's been the Tyler and Tyler show. Smith has been able to pull away from Pluff there after the backstretch chicane. They're now coming down to the front stretch chicane. But this is the closest battle on the racetrack right now, and so far these guys have been putting on a show for us so far, and hopefully they keep it up for the next 20 or so laps back to turn 2.
And it is something to note as well that we are well past that halfway point as well. 55 laps on the day. We're rounding lap number 34 right now. The real question is going to be, because this really is, you could say, the battle of the Tylers round number 2. Pluff is still very close, but it's still a very obvious thing that Smith could still get him on the exit of the corners. Pluff has got to try a dive bomb on the entry because he just doesn't have he can't carry the momentum he needs through the corners in order. Oh no, that might do it for him! Pluff hard in the wall, and that is going to kill Pluff's momentum. I think that might have just ended that battle for the rest of the race.
He's got a little bit of damage on the right side of the car. I don't think it's anything too bad. We'll have to see how much that really affects his race car as he comes through NASCAR 1 and 2. That damage looks a little worse on that right front than I initially thought it was. We'll have to see how much it damaged any suspension pieces inside that right front tire, because if he can't turn very well, he's going to have a hell of a time driving that 21 car.
Guys, your first and second lap your cars here, I'm not lap cars, Boyd Hogan and Tanner Love, they've run the fastest laps of the race so far. With Boyd Hogan ran a 119 and 165, Tanner Love ran a 119 and 630, and no other driver in this field has come remotely close to that. Brian Johnson in the 4 machine has run a 120 and 861, and that would be your third fastest in this field right now.
Well, and I tell you what, we saw Hogan just pull away from Cockrell easily. Love has been able to maintain the gap a little bit. It's now only 5 seconds. The gap was down to 3 seconds at one point. All it takes is one mistake from Hogan, and Love will be able to reel him back in. The leader headed for turn 1 and now turn 2.
See, that's one thing I'm noticing about Boyd Hogan. When he's doing good, he is really just flying. It's when he makes the mistakes that the gap starts to close on in. So Boyd Hogan has got to make sure he deals with this lap traffic ahead of him quickly. He's right now struggling to get by Jaden Profit, who's likely going to pull aside and let him through. And in fact, that's exactly what he's going to do. Boyd Hogan's got to make sure that he keeps that car clean, because if he has one more spin like he did a little while ago, he is certainly going to end up losing the lead for sure. You saw him flirt just a little bit with that painted tarmac once again, and that is definitely not something he wants to do. He's found out the hard way a couple of times today what that slippery surface can do to a race car like this.
Remember when Tyler Pluff hit the inside wall? Yeah, never mind. He's caught back up to Tyler Smith. It didn't take long. He was back almost 2.5 seconds. Now he's back just within 1 second of that 22 car. He's about ready to knock on the back door once again and say, hey, remember me? I'm back. That me hitting the wall didn't do anything to this race car. I can't believe that right front is still intact, because he took a decent shot to that wall. The gap is half a second as they head to turn 3.
Well, guys, remember, as Boyd Hogan in that 81 machine is working its way through the field, it would just take one car in front of him, a lap down car in front of him, to lose control and ruin Boyd Hogan's race. So he's really got to be on edge and picking his passing points around these lap cars really cautiously, as there's only 6 cars left on the lead lap. Brian Johnson in the 4 machine would be the next one to get put down a lap.
If I could just jump in here as well for a brief moment and touch on this battle between P4 and P5. You mentioned as well how Tyler Pluff's closing, even with the damage on the right front. Well, if you take a look at the front of Tyler Smith's car, you'll see he's actually got a lot more damage from that hit with, I believe it was James Colabelli earlier on in the race. No doubt that damage is causing him to lose a lot of horsepower, thus is affecting his straight line speed on the longer straightaways. That could be what's allowing Tyler Pluff to close in the gap here.
But my question is that Pluff he's been stuck behind Smith for such a long time, and Smith has had that damage. Smith was able to pass Pluff at a point. Pluff just got this damage now 3 laps ago. Now the front end damage to Smith's car is only really hurting him? I don't know the answer to that. Maybe Pluff was kind of saving his tires, and Smith has been aggressive. You got to remember that Smith has older tires. His tires are 2 laps older than Pluff. Maybe that's part of it, but Pluff is back on the door through turn 2.
Well, this brings up a very old saying as well here. It is one thing to catch the guy in front of you. It's another thing to pass him. That rings no truer than with the Cup cars here at the Charlotte Roval. As you saw Pluff bobble just a little bit more off of turn number 4, runs it wide this time and slides the back end of that, cost him even more time. I think Pluff might be pushing it a bit too aggressively as well, as in fact I think Tyler Smith actually might have just glanced off the wall as well. In fact, he did, just coming through the last section. They're right now onto the oval. Go to you, Al.
Yeah, we're running on short time here. We've only got roughly about 15, 16 laps left of this race. And we're running this at about 1 minute and 17 seconds, 1 minute and 18 seconds, somewhere in that. So this race could possibly be over in less than 20 minutes. And these drivers are probably feeling the stress, as we only have 6 cars on the lead lap. Before this race is over, again, we may only have 3 cars left on the lead lap, as Boyd Hogan is clearly just slicing his way through the field.
I tell you what, watching 4th and 5th battle their way here, it looks like Tyler Pluff has a great latter part of the infield course coming through turn 1 and 2, and then heading for the backstretch chicane. After that backstretch chicane, though, from there all the way to the start-finish line, it's all Tyler Smith. He's able to pull away, but Pluff now trying to reel him back.
It really is a matter of time before Pluff can get up to Smith, but the question is, it might be a matter of time, but time is not really infinite in a race like this, and he is certainly starting to run out of time. Tyler Pluff, if he's going to make that move, he's going to have to make it soon, because you got to keep in mind, there is a high chance that Boyd Hogan might still be able to catch them before the end of this race as well.
I don't think it's a matter of if, I think it's a matter of when.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Boyd Hogan, he's put the rockets back on. He's got a 10-second lead over Tanner Love, another 7 seconds back to Clifton Cockrell. So things really spread out at the front as Tyler Smith goes wide, almost hits the wall on the backstretch chicane exit, and here comes Tyler Pluff with a head of steam headed for NASCAR turn 3. He's close. We'll see how close he can get heading into this front stretch chicane. This is the closest he's been in some time on corner exit, heading down, trying to apply the pressure. Within a car length, he's not quite there. He hits the turtle coming out of the chicane, headed for turn 1. He looks to the inside. He's just too far back as they head to turn 2. Let's see what they got, Nolan.
Oh, Pluff getting really close to that wall on the exit of turn number 1 and the run down to turn 2, but still trying to...
We've got a car slowing down. He's putting her in reverse back here. Cecil Keith has found reverse. He's found reverse.
Yeah,
he's parking.
He went around. His car wheel hopped a little bit going into the backstretch chicane, and he just looped it. He's got it going now, and nobody really around him. He's already 2 laps down, so the mistake doesn't cost him all that much. But he's able to at least keep it out of the wall and out of the way.
What we want to watch for now is Boyd Hogan. See how loose his car gets. As he came back through this backstretch chicane here, I watched him kind of rear end slide out on him a little bit, and he kind of pedaled his way through it. But it looks like it might be getting a little loose. This could be a benefit to at least Tanner Love.
You got to remember, we've seen Hogan spin from a 10, 11 second lead or so, and frankly, it just doesn't matter. He's able to get going, and he's able to stay in front of Love. Sure, the gap's only 3 seconds, but Hogan's going to have to make, at this point, multiple mistakes in order to let Tanner Love get close enough to the 81 to try and make an impact late in this one.
So this battle for the 4th position is still really the only battle we got on the track as of right now. Smith still trying to hang on to Pluff. Both drivers keeping each other very, very honest here. As Pluff's right on the back end now through turn 3, trying for turn 4. At this point in time, you got to start wondering if Pluff's car is a bit unstable on the exit, because that is where he's losing all of his time, is on the exit of the corners. He can run him down by the entry, but it is always just enough that he is not quite able to make the pass.
He ran a little wide there going through turn 6 and 7. The car falls off at some point. I have a feeling here, Nolan, if he just lets the car do its own thing, and doesn't overdrive it, he's going to be able to pass Smith before the end of the race with just 15 to go.
Yeah, we're watching as you just seen the leader pass the 4 machine of Brian Johnson. So now we have 5 cars on the lead lap. And we're watching as now the 22 and the 21 are just the only targets that Boyd Hogan has in his reel. He will not be able to put third and second place down the lap unless there's an extreme problem going on.
Yeah, Cockrell's only 20 seconds behind Hogan. Pluff and Smith are over a minute behind him, so it won't be long. Through the front stretch chicane, Tyler Pluff sends it in. He overdrives it, though, and that's going to allow Smith to pull away as they head back towards turn number 1. Tyler Smith, he's just been cool and consistent, and that's what's keeping him in that 4th spot.
Both drivers keeping each other very, very honest here. Pluff is always making sure that Tyler Smith is on his toes, and Smith is responding in kind by making sure that he's utilizing the most out of every last cubic inch of performance that he can get out of that race car. You know, both drivers have been doing a phenomenal job at making sure that they stay nice and close to each other and giving us a pretty good show here here at the Charlotte Roval. We are now 15 laps left to go. So now the question is going to be, how long is it going to be before Pluff starts to get desperate?
Well, if desperation is what you want, desperation at this track is what you must avoid. That will cause a big problem for you, and this track will tell you in a minute that your desperate moves will cause you a lap.
Now, I have a question here, guys. When Hogan gets to this, as Pluff caught a turtle, we got a little wide there on the backstretch chicane. That's going to cost him some time. He's going to drop back at least half a second through NASCAR 3 and 4, maybe even more than that. So that's going to hurt him a bit. But if Boyd Hogan catches 4th and 5th spot, battling for the position like he would have 5 laps ago, that's going to be big for Hogan to try and get through while also not getting wrecked around 2 guys that have been all over each other since the drop of the green flag.
Well, it's a very difficult thing to call here. I think those drivers are going to be a little bit professional, and they'll probably calm it down for a minute and let Boyd go ahead and put them a lap down, because nobody wants to wreck a leader that's got 12-second gap between him and second place. But I could be wrong. I mean, it's been done before. I mean, I could very well be wrong. They could race and take out the leader. I mean,
yep. It's possible. We saw it happen at Sonoma last season between Clifton Cockrell and some others. Just a lot of chaos involving some lap traffic, and it really had an impact on that finish of that one. Tyler Smith, he's out in front for now. Pluff sends it in on the backstretch chicane. He catches that curb. He loses a little bit of time, but not as much as he did last time. He might be okay.
He comes in really rough. Boyd Hogan almost loses it coming in this back chicane. That put a little bit of time. He gave the Tylers a little bit of breathing room there. Yeah. If he can just keep doing that, second place Tanner Love will close that 12.8 second gap in.
Problem is he's running out of time. We're closing in on 10 laps to go. So the clock's ticking for these guys. Really, Tyler Pluff, he's got to be consistent. He's got to be smart. He can't be overdriving the car like he is right now to turn 3.
Well, we watch a lot of these drivers as these tires are getting wore out. They are choosing either by, maybe it's a choice or it's not a choice. They're choosing not to turn around the chicane. They're choosing to slide right through it. When you do that, there's a penalty of about a 5 or 6 or 8 second hold that you've got to slow down and let that penalty wear out. We just watched Brian Johnson do that, David Gervais do that. So they've got to keep that under control and keep that car on the track. Got to keep it on the asphalt, not the colored asphalt.
That's true, but at this point, they're also just trying to get out of the way and try not to have an impact, so they think the best way for them to do it is just to pull off and try and stay out of the way and be as little of a harm as possible. Here comes, in this battle as well, the 13 of Brian Hubble. He's a lap down. He just pitted last time by. So he's on fresh tires. He's going to try and get by these 2 Tylers who are fighting for position. Plus, you've got the leader lurking in the background as well.
Really is shaping up to be a bit of an interesting finish, isn't it? I mean, you got so many different maneuvers that are going on here at the same time. In fact, Pluff is forced to go defensive against Brian Hubble, which is only costing him more time. Hubble now is going to finally take the inside away from Tyler Pluff. So at this point in time, the battle for fourth place is over for now, and Tyler Smith has miraculously managed to hang on to it.
And don't look now, but Hogan is coming. He is on the same straightaway now on that infield part of the course. It's going to be a lap until Tyler Pluff is one lap down.
And it's not going to take him much time at all. And I just want everybody to know that's watching this race. We're not watching a race like you watched when iRacing was with the NASCAR drivers where the setups were all fixed. Each individual of these drivers, they all set their cars up themselves. And some of them may not have the best setup. Their driving skills are a whole lot better than what you're seeing tonight. I guarantee you that.
But what do you think? Do you think fixed setup would help level the playing field at a track like this? Maybe not when you go to a normal oval like Kansas next week or something, but do you think that might help level out the playing field so you don't see somebody lap everybody with the top three cars?
Oh, I might say that in my opinion, I think, and I've been saying this over and over and over again, tracks like this, I think a fixed setup would be perfect, but I think the next track we're going to see that is Texas. Texas is going to be ran on a fixed setup. That means everybody is going to have the exact same setup, and it's going to come right down to the driver's skills. So really, we won't see a Boyd Hogan or Tanner Love or Clifton Cockrell walking away from the field. If this was a fixed race, we probably wouldn't be seeing 6 cars or 5 cars on the lead lap towards the finish of this. We might see maybe 15 of them. You know, a lot of these guys can't drive this. I personally can't drive this track. I personally don't choose to drive this track because I don't want to turn right and left. But I do believe that if this was a fixed setup, this would be a whole different change to the end of this race. And we're going to find that out in Texas in a couple weeks.
Just gotta wait and see. Boyd Hogan, he has caught Tyler Pluff. The only problem is he hasn't been able to get by him yet. He kind of got stuck sitting behind him that last time by through the infield part of the course. They're in NASCAR 3 and 4 right now. He just has not been able to figure out a way yet to get by Tyler Pluff. The gap between Pluff and Smith right now, about a second and a half or so. So it's not like the Tylers are on top of each other battling for position again. It's just that Hogan hasn't been able to find a hole to get by yet. So they had to turn one.
I mean, sooner or later, Pluff is going to have to let him by, or Hogan's going to move him out of the way. I mean, that's basically how the deal works. I mean, iRacing does say you are allowed to fight to stay on the lead lap, but at some point, the leader's going to say, I can't afford to be held up by you, so if you don't get out of the way, I'm going to move you out of the way. That's what Boyd Hogan is going to be thinking here real soon here if Pluff does not give way. And it looks here like he is going to give way as Boyd Hogan takes the inside just like that. 5th place, 1 lap down.
4 cars left on the lead lap, and now Tyler Smith has to look in his mirror and see that black and white 81 car breathing down his neck. So I got to imagine it'll be within 3 laps before we only have 3 cars here on the lead lap.
I can imagine that Boyd Hogan is not going to move anybody just to take a position away. He has got a comfortable 12.5-second gap between him and second place Tanner Love. Right, to take a chance to move a car just to put them down a lap is not going to be something that you're going to see out of Boyd Hogan or Tanner Love or maybe 3rd place Clifton Cockrell, but not the 1st and 2nd place drivers.
As Hogan comes across the line, we've got just 8 laps to go. And I mean, right now, Hogan is there for Tyler Smith. I don't think they'll make it out of this section without Smith on the lead lap. Here he goes.
Oh, look at this. Tyler Smith, in fact, cuts off Boyd Hogan. Does him dirty right there through turn number 4. Hogan will not be happy about that one. Costs him even more time as Hogan had to slam the brakes in order to avoid turning Tyler Smith around. Good job on Hogan to read that situation and make sure that didn't end worse than it did.
That could have been big. that had me fucking up in my chair. I was worried about that for a moment. Wasn't sure if Smith was going to give it up or if Hogan was going to be smart enough to get out of the gas. Thankfully, cooler heads prevailed. But right now, as they head to the backstretch chicane, Hogan can't be happy inside that race car. Whoa! Where is Tyler Smith going. He just cut that chicane by a mile.
Yeah, we had
Went
two
to Smith
drivers cut
and
that chicane. That's going to give Boyd Hogan the ability to put Tyler Smith the lap down easily now because Tyler
He
Smith
just turned
has
dead
to slow
late,
down.
and that's going to allow Pluff to catch up, though, for position. Here they go.
Oh,
into
look
NASCAR
out.
3 and 4. He's going to go by him, side by side into the chicane. Tyler Smith sends it in. He overcooks it. Pluff overcooks it. And Smith hit the curbs. It is chaos between these two. Nobody wants this fourth spot. Going into turn number 1, it looks like Pluff is going to hang on to it for the time being. He had to check up because he cut the front stretch chicane, but he's still able to gap Smith by over a second.
I am so incredibly lost as to what in the world just took place there. I mean, that's a new one. I mean, I've seen a couple races here, and I've never seen something like that before.
Well, I just seen Michael Knight in that 68 machine try to use his reverse because he spun it out back in his back chicane, and it works. His reverse works good. I seen the lights. David Gervais, he decides in that 5 machine he doesn't want to turn left or right anymore. He's just going to go straight throughout this whole race, and he's going to serve a penalty on the backstretch here.
I can't believe that Pluff, after all of that, was able to take the spot away. They both did the same penalty. And in the end, it costs Smith more than it did Pluff. But
Well,
Smith
I think
is
I
now
know.
closing that gap.
I think I know why that is, actually, and that might be because I haven't really seen assigns their slowdown penalties, but in judgment of what's up next on the race course. You're going to gain a lot more time by cutting the backstretch chicane than you are the front stretch chicane. So Smith's penalty might have actually been a couple seconds greater than Tyler Pluff's. But now look who's on the defensive. Tyler Pluff's been on the offensive the entire race. All of a sudden, he's the one on the defensive.
And he's only got 6 laps to go as they head back to turn 2. Back to you, Nolan, as he almost spins it going through turn 2.
So now the question is going to be, we've seen how good Tyler Smith is on defense. How good is he on the offense? Smith's always been better on acceleration off the corner, so this could be crucial here for Smith to utilize where he knows he's better. He's looking to the inside of turn 6. He's going to try to have a go at him. Jumps that curve and spins it around. Smith throws it away, and the battle for P4 is over just like that.
Just too aggressive. We thought Pluff was being too aggressive, trying to catch up to Tyler Pluff. Instead, Pluff has the cooler head. He prevails. He's got a 7-second lead over Smith for the 4th spot, and there goes the only close battle on the racetrack, guys.
That's going to close 6th place, 65 machine, and Jaden Profit up to Tyler Smith, and hoping and praying that Tyler Smith makes the same mistake once again, and he can take P5 and finish his race in the top 5.
Problem is, Profit is 10 seconds back, and that gap really isn't closing in much. So I guess now we can kind of turn our heads to the leaders, or to the leader right now, Boyd Hogan. He's at the start-finish line. 5 laps left here at the Charlotte Roval, and he has put on a clinic so far this afternoon as he heads back to turn 1.
Boyd Hogan has certainly been in complete control of this race ever since he took it away from Clifton Cockrell early in this one. I mean, no one has been able to even get close to Boyd Hogan, with the exception, of course, of that second-place driver. But that was only admittedly because Boyd Hogan made those mistakes. I mean, without those mistakes, I honestly believe that Boyd Hogan would have lapped 4th place about 10 laps ago. Without those spins, he probably would be close to lapping 3rd place right about now, too, as a matter of fact.
Well, it looks like our race for 2nd and 3rd is closing up pretty good because they have less than a second between the two of those guys. So it could be Tanner Love or Clifton Cockrell that will finish this race in P2.
Al, I'm not sure what you're looking at here. Love is 15 seconds back on Hogan. Cockrell's 15 and a half seconds back on Love. So they're not really that close, all things considered.
Well, I was focusing on David Gervais as he decided he was just going to hit the back wall here and really not race. And I misjudged it. Yeah, you're talking 15 seconds. It's 30 seconds between 1st and 3rd.
Yeah, Gervais just hooked it into the outside wall to try and get out of the leader's way, I guess. But he's been all over the place so far here tonight. No doubt about that. So 4 laps to go for Hogan. He's back in turn 2, just trying to seal the deal here at the Roval.
He doesn't need to push it at all. He just needs to make sure that he hits his marks, keeps it smooth. He doesn't even need to worry about passing lap traffic until he gets back around to the oval. I mean, Boyd Hogan really has been in complete control of this race so far. I mean, I'm going to look back through the order. I mean, he was about a second up on Tanner Love's time in practice, who was the 2nd place driver. He was 1.5 seconds up on Clifton Cockrell's qualifying time. And now he is easily running by about 2 or 3 seconds a lap faster than Tanner Love and Clifton Cockrell both in this race as well. So, I mean, Boyd Hogan, this has always been his race to win.
Well, it's been his race to lose. I mean, he was not an underdog coming into this. He set some pretty amazing, he set some amazing practice times and qualifying times. I mean, this was his race to lose. And he tried to give it away, and he kind of gave a little bit of help to Tanner Love and Clifton Cockrell several times during this race by spinning out. But he was able to regain and recontrol and retake 16-second gap.
Just got to bring it around 3 more times here at the Roval before he can seal the deal and get the win here at the Roval.
Oh, nearly lost it there off of turn number 1. Step that back end down. I think Hogan's got to remember here that he's got to be patient. I mean, there's no time. I was about to say there's no time to lose, but he's got all the time in the world right now. He does not need to push it at all. He's got 15 seconds back. He could honestly be 4 seconds a lap slower than Tanner Love right now. He'd still finish in first place. So Boyd Hogan does not need to push it in the slightest right now. All he's got to do is make sure he is extremely careful. The last thing he needs right now is another spin.
Yeah, he needs to calm it down a little bit because he basically can have valet come and park that car for him because it looks like he's secured his first place unless he does something absolutely insane or comes around a lap down car and they do something insane.
I tell you what, looking at the points right now, Boyd Hogan's second in the points. Justin Levine, who won last week at Talladega, he is the points leader, and he is not here. So
this is definitely going to stir some stuff up for first place on this.
It's only a 3-point gap. So as long as Hogan can limp it around 2 more times, he'll win the race and he'll take the championship lead. He'll be the first multi-win driver on the season. Levine and Mullins with the wins other than Hogan coming into today's race. Just got to bring it around 2 more times.
About 1.5 laps left to go at this point for Boyd Hogan, who is he's led just about every lap so far in the midst of this race. He's only had the 1 pit stop. I mean, the only drivers that have had the 2 pit stops have been David Gervais and James Colabelli. And, well, they're the final 2 cars that are running on the track right now. Of course, you have Brian Hubble as well that took a second stop. He's running in the 10th position right now, though. So it does appear that there's been a bit of a change up in the pit strategy. It's only been a 1-stopper strategy. For today, it's not something you typically see in the stock car races, but that's what you've been seeing here today. Right now, though, he's coming through that backstretch chicane, and he's getting set to take the white flag.
Yeah, once he crosses the white flag to go, there's only 3 drivers in this field of 19 that stand a chance to win. 3. Because the rest of them are at least a lap down. From 4th to 19th, they're a lap or more down.
Well, and here we go, Al, through the front stretch chicane. White flag in the wind, 1 more lap to go for Boyd Hogan, trying to get his 2nd win on the season and take the championship lead. He's got to do this 1 more time, back to Nolan for the last time through 2.
Yes, indeed. Final time through the infield section. You got to mention, I want to point out as well, there's a battle for 9th place just behind him. Brian Hubble's reeled in Chris Johnson and is now trying to get at him, so might want to keep 1 eye on that battle as well, just behind your current race leader, as Hogan now through turn 5, through turn 6, going to get set to turn it through 7 and 8, back onto the oval for the final time today.
It does look like the leader, Boyd Hogan, has slowed it down a little bit to about a second and a half. Just kind of being patient like you made it suggested, and it looks like that's paying off for him because he wants to finish this pretty clean and make sure nobody takes him out, as he's just a couple more lefts and rights to winning this thing.
Through the backstretch chicane, he has to be perfect. Craig Johnson in front of him, who's in 12th right now. Oh my gosh, he almost spun it. Boyd Hogan with the Code Brown Award of the day. Through the backstretch chicane, the car got light on him. He was able to save it. And through 3 and 4, scares everybody in the world. Boyd Hogan.
14 comes Tanner Love. He slides sideways. That's not gonna give enough time for Clifton Cockrell.
Doesn't matter. Boyd Hogan wins at the Roval. Chris Johnson and Hubble make contact. It's going to make Johnson miss the chicane. He has to wait. Their race is over. Hubble will take P9. So contact between Hubble and Chris Johnson. It's going to push Johnson wide as Hubble just sent it in, going into the final chicane.
We have more trouble. James Colabelli has had a spin in turn number 3 in the midst of this wall. And he's body slammed the wall with the back end and then the front end as well. So Colabelli has one more spin on the day as well.
And I'm looking here, trying to figure out, he has to do another lap. So his race is not yet over. He was ahead of Hogan when he took the checkers.
Here's the tricky thing. The cars in front of him have finished the race. So that's a bit of an awkward situation for Colabo, who's got to try to dart his way past traffic that's finished the race when he's still racing. I don't even know if these guys know that he's still racing.
They're going to figure it out here pretty soon. As he storms by, he is not fighting for anything. He will finish in the 15th spot. Everybody behind him is out of the race. And Gervais has already crossed the finish line. So at this point, Colabali is set in stone in this 15th position, and it looks like he's just going to limp it home in somewhat one piece after the crash on the last lap. So a wild last lap here, and we will be ready to bring in the top 3, Hogan, Love, and Cockrell, and talk to them post-race here in just a moment. Looking at the points coming into today, Cockrell 18th in points, so he'll be able to shoot up quite a bit with the top 3 finish. Tanner Love in points, he's 7th. He'll be able to climb his way up a little bit higher in the points. And Boyd Hogan should come out on top with the championship lead as the only multi-winner in the season so far.
Let's run down the top 10 here. It looks like Boyd Hogan wins the race in the 81 machine. Coming in second will be the 14 of Tanner Love. Third, the 16 of Clifton Cockrell. Fourth, out of the Tyler twins here, Tyler Pluff in the 21 machine gets the victory for 4th position over Tyler Smith in the 22 machine, who finished 5th. 6th will be the 65 of Jaden Profit. 7th, the 4 machine of Brian Johnson. 8th, the 68 of Mike Knight. 9th, the 13th of Brian Hubble. The 10th of Chris Johnson. Nolan, you want to take us through the rest of the field from 11th on back?
And indeed, it's Wayne Grosser to finish things off. 2 laps down to the 11th position. Got Craig Johnson in 12th. 3 laps down at Cecil Keith. David Gervais and James Colabelli, 14th and 15th, both 5 laps down apiece. For the drivers that didn't finish, Michael Doyle, Paul Olson, and Mark Love, with Eric Kling not making the field today after being 3rd fastest in practice for a tough break for the 52 machine, who just never really managed to get things sorted where he was at today.
Well, let's take a quick commercial right quick as we gather up and try to get down into the pits and get our top 3 pole positions, or the winners of the day, Boyd Hogan, Tanner Love, and Clifton Cockrell. We'll be right back.
It's time for some post-race interviews here from Charlotte Roval. We begin with our 3rd place finisher, Clifton Cockrell, and you had a whale of a time inside that race car. You were clinging on for dear life, although I think you were relatively under control compared to the other guys that finished in the top 3. Take us through, and how'd you wheel it home into 3rd place?
Yeah, I was actually thinking that I actually had something for the guys there to maybe take the win, but might have overdrove my stuff. Like you said, I you know was I was riding the curves pretty good, but was able to manage to keep control somehow.
Well, looked like at one moment right there in the beginning there, Clifton, we thought we were going to be seeing you winning this thing, but top three is nothing to sneeze at. It was a pretty dramatic finish for you, and you had some moments of glory, and pretty good to come out at least on the lead lap here and finish in the P3. Congratulations. Do you have any sponsors or teammates or anybody you want to give a shout out to right quick? The mic is yours.
No, I just want to thank the admins here, Kenny and Chris. Put on a great show every week, and look forward to it each and every Thursday night.
Well, we will see you next week in Kansas, and hope we can talk to you again then.
I sure hope so.
Congratulations on your P3. Congratulations, buddy. Have a good night. Thanks for putting on a great show.
Thank you.
See if we can get a hold of second place. We have second place in.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Tanner Love. Walk us through that second place finish for us. Just give us a brief little segment here. And did you think you had anything to catch Boyd Hogan, or do you think Boyd was going to pull off another couple of those spins and not be able to recover like he's done throughout the race? What was your thought pattern here?
I would have hoped Boyd would have, that would have been cool. But nah, I'm happy he won. But no, I was just going for a ride. I knew Boyd was faster than me throughout the whole entire first run and second run. So I was just trying to be content and just hang my place and not spin out and lose it, and just maintain that second place ride.
Well, getting past the lap cars, it looked like that was the most difficult throughout the race.
Everybody seemed pretty genuine and nice going out, letting everybody by. It was very nice of them, It did slow you down here and there, but it was everybody. It was a good race. Good race.
All right, buddy. Let's give you your 5 seconds of fame here. You got any sponsors or anybody you want to thank, teammates or anybody? Go ahead. The mic is yours.
Yeah, I appreciate Legacy Esports, Bruzy, Butt Kicker, everybody there, Boyd, build another rocket. So yeah, I appreciate you guys. You guys putting this on, Kenny, Al, all you guys. So I'm excited. This is fun. This is fun.
Well, we're glad to see you coming in here and putting on one hell of a show. And congratulations again on your P2. We're going to let Mr. Jacob Hitz on his welcome back tour give an interview to our winner, Mr. Boyd Hogan. Go ahead, Jacob.
Sounds good. Boyd, how about that? You put on a clinic today, dominated the whole race, and you had your moments where you tried to hand it off to somebody else to try and win the race, but man, you were just too damn fast. Take us through.
Yeah, it's the way we've got it set up this week is it's a little sketchy at times, and you're just trying to get the most out of every lap around here, because I mean you take it easy a couple times and you're losing a lot of time really fast, and just got into a couple corners a little too hard, wheel hopped at one time, and back end just kicked around the other time, and at that point you're just trying to hope that you don't get hit, and luckily we didn't, and it was fun, man. Put on a show with Clifton and Tanner, and had a lot of fun.
And take us through trying to get through all the lap traffic, because you had to deal with a lot of lap traffic tonight. Only 3 cars finished on the lead lap, and you passed some guys probably in the double digits throughout the night. Just take us through trying to avoid all that lap traffic on a pretty narrow racetrack.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, there's not much they can do. Realistically speaking, there's only maybe 2 or 3 different passing zones where it actually would make sense to even try to pass a lap car. So, it's easy to kind of get caught up battling them, and it's not necessarily their fault. I mean, they're trying to stay out of the way. They were as cordial as I've seen them be all week long, and it was still a challenge, as I think Tanner was saying. So, it's a challenge, that's for sure. But as long as you're patient, I guess that's the easiest way to get through.
All right, and anybody you want to thank here before we let you go here?
Yeah. A huge thank you to Vicente Salas. Um, I am not a good road guy. I've never been a good road guy in the year and a little bit that I've been on the sim. And we're on different teams, but with Coke coming here on Tuesday, we're trying to get the car dialed, so we called up the best road guy in the business, and oh my goodness, man, he's helped me so much just trying to get the car down, get the track down, and I wouldn't have won anything here at all this week if it weren't for him. And I mean, he's won both NIS races on this car. The car is unbelievable. So a huge thank you to him for turning all the laps, all the late nights here the last few days trying to get the car ready. Everybody in Legacy Esports, Tanner for coming out, keeping me company, doing this. Everybody on the team, Abrosi, Steelheart Outfitters, Butt Kicker, Justin Calvin, Austin Derbyshire for the paint. Man, it's one of the nicest cars that I've had. I don't think you guys had it on Trading Paints tonight, unfortunately. But we'll get that fixed up. And I just want to thank everybody on Legacy Esports. Thanks, Steve, for watching. I know he's always watching. Thank you guys for putting it on as well.
Well, congratulations, Boyd, for that amazing race there. And once again, we will see you next week at Kansas, and maybe we'll talk to you again. Nolan, you got any last words? Maybe we can words of encouragement to Boyd. Tell him he's not going to have so much of a lucky 3 laps down incident next week. Anything you want to tell him?
Well, we'll have to see, of course, how the next race goes. I mean, you're going in from one beast to another. We just came up to Talladega. Then we're going over here to the Charlotte Roval. You got another big challenge for you next week. So I guess, best of luck to everybody involved. And, here's to hoping that the next race is just as exciting as the rest of the season's been so far.
We'll have to wait and see. So this wraps up race number 4 on the season. We're back next week from Kansas Speedway. Same time, same channel as always. Glad you're watching. It's been a pleasure being here. From all of us here, Rob Melnick, who's been running the streams for us, Kenny Powell, the league owner, Al Kozlowski, Nolan Rempel, here with me in the booth. I'm Jacob Hitz. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week from Kansas. We'll see you then.